Hello, beautiful internet family. Dan here from DansTube.TV, and today I've got my full review of the DJI Action 2. Now this is everything you need to know about DJI's latest action camera, the Action 2. So this is the camera here, and I've got the dual screen combo. So it comes with an additional screen. You obviously get one on the back of the camera system itself. And then this also works as a battery pack as well. I've got something to talk about with the battery pack very soon, but just in terms of this combo, love the idea. I love that snap, that magnetic slap, just, oh, so satisfying every time. Just works perfectly. And the thing I really like about this camera as well, let's just start off with one of the coolest features. The base of this unit is magnetic, and also the base of this is obviously magnetic because it, snaps in like that. So you can actually connect this camera to a ton of different items and things in the environment. Like, for example, when we did the first video with the remote control car, we literally just stuck this onto a metal bracket kind of thing that holds the shell on. So you literally just click it on and it's magnetized straight away. Most of the poles that I tested it on just slapped on straight away. It gives you so many options. You can even mount it to a car without any sort of mount. It's a really powerful magnet system, and the fact that it works so intuitively, you don't even have to think about it. You can literally just slap it on and it's that strong. It will not come off at all. Really cool design, and I love these modular designs where you can remove and add new accessories. It's a really cool concept and completely redesigned. Compared to the Action 1, this is a whole new camera. Unfortunately, that's actually brought up a ton of issues with this unit. Before I get into some of those issues, another thing to mention is this unit here, the camera itself, with just the screen, the camera, the button, and that magnetic base. This section is waterproof up to 10 meters. This one is not waterproof because it has the USB-C charging port. So if you do want to have these connected like this, you actually need to buy a case that will enclose both of them into a really weird rectangular designed item, but that is just something to be aware of. They haven't really mentioned that. They kind of call it a waterproof unit, but if you buy this and go straight into the water, you're going to damage that bottom unit straight away. So remove that. You can use this immediately underwater, but if you want this as an additional battery power, then you need to get the accessory as well. Now, while we're talking about the dual screen combo, I love the concept, I love the design. One major thing that has really annoyed me, and I don't know why it's a thing, is the unit will constantly charge the camera. Even if the camera is at 100%, it will constantly trickle charge. So the unit itself, the camera on top, is not smart enough, or this isn't smart enough, the way they interface, to basically go, hey, I'm at 100%, you probably don't need to charge me. And for whatever reason, this doesn't hold charge that well. So what happened was I charged it up, it was fine, went to bed, had it connected like this on my top, didn't realize that the light was still flashing, even though everything's turned off. Woke up in the morning, ran down to a local park to do a video. Guess what? I'm at 0%. So if you do get this combo, charge it up and then disconnect these two. Because for whatever reason, it doesn't tell the other system, hey, I'm fully charged, please stop charging me, or the battery isn't good enough in here to store the charge. So it's constantly going down and then just being trickle charged from this unit. Just keep that in mind. In a span of 8 hours, both of these were at 0% when I woke up. That's the first issue I've had with the unit so far. Now, I've done a video already on the Action 2, and I basically said, do not buy the DJI Action 2 just yet. Now, why I say just yet is because in its current state, the way it is right now, I would not recommend this to people. It's had way too many issues, and I'll mention a few of those later on, but I think it's got potential. Hopefully some of these issues can be ironed out, and hopefully software updates can fix some of the issues I'll be talking about. The first one is this constantly charging. It's unnecessary. If the battery's good enough on the main unit, you really shouldn't have to trickle charge the entire time. I should be able to leave this on and the unit go, okay, it's at 100%, there's no need in me sending more charge to it. Hopefully that'll be fixed, because now that I've figured that out, I can leave these disconnected, leave them on the top, and this will still be at 100% within a few hours. So it's clearly not trickling, it's just this unit thinks it is, so it's constantly trying to charge it at all times. DJI have actually done something quite bold with this new camera. They could have just stuck to the same formula, similar to what GoPro have done time and time again. Same form factor, slight tweaks, slight improvements, nothing crazy. They're really not pushing the boundaries. Now, they did have the GoPro Session, which had a similar kind of design, but this one here is a little bit thinner than the Session. It's got a nice screen on the back, obviously more powerful than the Session, and I love this design. It's very unique, and I know that the FPV drone pilot space are going to love finally a camera with a different form factor. Obviously a GoPro on a little FPV drone isn't ideal, quite a large camera system, but this can slot in perfectly and capture some unique shots for FPV pilots out there.
When you were playing that record, what were you thinking? I still love you.
Before we go any further in this video, I do have a 10% off discount code for my viewers out there. If you go to the D1 Store's website, which I'll have linked in the description below, you can use the code DansTube and you can save 10% off your cameras, drones, accessory needs, whatever it is you want to get from the store, and you can save 10% using the code DansTube. So make sure to utilize that when you're thinking about getting a new product from the D1 store or any DJI product or accessory that's compatible with the DJI product. Now back to this unit here. So it's still charging, like I said before, and that's frustrating. I have to remember constantly to disconnect it, even though I want to leave it connected just for peace of mind. Like, why would you want two separate components sitting around the house? That annoys me a little bit, but that's not the major issue. The big problem is overheating. This is a problem that's been reported by tons of other YouTubers out there. I've had very similar experiences where I'll be filming for maybe about 7-8 minutes or so, and then I'll walk around for a bit, I'll figure out what I'm gonna say for my outro, start filming, and it's overheated, boiling to the touch, like it's actually burning me to hold it, it's uncomfortably hot. I've had to put the unit in the freezer. Like, that's just not good enough from a very expensive action camera. It should not be overheating at all. That wasn't even in the high frame rates. That was 4K 60 frames per second. The Action 2 is capable of 4K 120 frames per second, and it was overheating at 60 frames per second 4K. Luckily for me in Australia, there's the option in the menu to actually adjust the temperature threshold. So I can turn it up to a higher threshold, meaning that if I want to continue filming even past that point that it wants to stop, it will continue going. My main worry is, like, what about the internals? I do not want to damage the internals. And I know that for people in the EU, they can't even enable that high threshold. They just have to leave it in the standard setting, which is very limited and just not good enough, really. So hopefully that can be fixed with a software update, and hopefully it's not just a limitation of the design, the form factor, and the power that this guy's capable of, because it's a very capable, powerful camera, and that's obviously why it isn't that efficient at cooling. They've designed it to be a waterproof unit that's 4K, 120 frames per second, but it doesn't do a great job of cooling unless you're running around constantly using it for action, which is obviously what it's intended for. But the way they've marketed it, it's more than just action. So they've designed it in a way that it's got really good microphones onboarded. It's got tons of options for just the everyday consumer. So if it's targeted at everyone, it needs to be working in all different scenarios. Now, I don't know whether they can fix that issue, the overheating issue, with a software update. You would imagine that they would have stress test this unit, and you would think that if it wasn't ready and if it was overheating, they would have held it off a little bit and waited to release it. But it just feels like something that was a little bit rushed, and it obviously wasn't stress tested enough, because that is a major, major problem. Like, you can't just go, well, you should be using it for action. You should always be running, or it should be mounted to, a drone, or you should be always using it underwater. That's fine if they've pushed it as an action camera, but they've designed it as an everyday camera as well. So again, it should work in all scenarios. I don't know whether that will be the case. Just keep in mind that if you're in the EU, you might not want to buy this just yet, because you can't even put it in the higher temperature threshold. It's going to be overheating within a few minutes, and that's just not usable. The other issue I've had with this camera, unfortunately, I will get onto some of the good points very soon, but the other issue I'm having, which might not be a deal breaker for people, is that live streaming isn't working. I've had issues, I've tried it time and time again, I've been troubleshooting. It sets up a live stream, like it schedules it through my YouTube account, but it just won't let me go live. It says it's live streaming, it says it's going ahead, nothing's working. I've tried so many different things. I was wondering why there were no live streams from this unit on YouTube. That's probably why, because it just doesn't work. And I had some issues with the other settings as well. So if you're buying this for live streaming, it isn't working just yet at the time of me filming this video. So now moving on to the positives of the Action 2, which it actually does have a ton of positives. I mentioned before that magnetic design, which I really love. You can attach it to really anything, just as the camera, or with that combo, the dual screen combo, you can attach it to anything that is, you know, metal and going to work with a magnet. It just does a great job in those situations. And I used it in a ton of different scenarios where there was metal, and it just sticks on and holds. It's great. But in terms of the video quality, beautiful. I'm really happy with the video quality. For an action camera, it's remarkable what it can capture. The colors are vibrant, everything is extremely sharp, and I'm very happy. Like, the video quality is phenomenal, which is one of the more important things about a camera, obviously. So the fact that they've nailed that, I'm very happy about. The other thing that's great is there are a ton of features in here, like I said. I love how easy it is to navigate the menu system. Sometimes I have issues with scrubbing videos, which I don't know how many people use the Action camera to scrub through the videos, but that occasionally is a little bit finicky. The interface itself is quite nice, and I love this intuitive, like, smart little idea where as you turn the camera, you'll actually bring up a crosshair. If you're a gamer, you'll know what a crosshair is. As you turn it, it'll actually tell you which orientation the camera's facing. Simple tool, and it's actually been really helpful, especially when you mount it to this one here, because what happens is the camera goes upside down to mount onto your chest. So it's really good to know which orientation the camera is recognizing it's facing. And then that's the other major positive of this unit. It's very versatile. You get a ton of accessories already, and there are a ton of other accessories that you can buy for the Action 2 right now. I'm sure there'll be heaps and heaps and heaps of third-party ones that come out, but this is the little, like, puck, the magnetic puck that can go around your neck. You can tuck it underneath your shirt, and then between the material, it can just magnetically clap on like that, and you can just have it set on your chest. Perfect. So easy to just have it set up to capture moments. You know, if you're going for a hike somewhere, if you're on holiday, if that's a real thing at the moment with obviously the pandemic, but whenever you go and do something, you can just have this non-intrusively kind of floating on your chest. It looks very unique the way it sits. And then you can just set it up and record on the go. I love that design, very unique, and probably one of my favorite accessories from the Action 2 combo. Now you also get the generic GoPro kind of mounted option. So this is magnetic again, so you can just literally clip it on like that. Nice and stable. I love that magnetic design. You don't have to worry about anything kind of hanging down, or you don't have to worry about mounting it properly. It's just a magnet, you know, it just works every single time, and it's very, very strong. So you can use that mount, which is great and very easy to use, and there's tons of accessories out there. That's a great one, and that comes in the dual screen combo as well. And then you also get this ball head attachment here, so you can adjust the angle that the camera sits on, you know, if you want to angle it a little bit. Same design again, if I can get it right. Just a magnet, and then you've got the little base here that you can screw into the bottom and mount that however you want. And obviously you can then mount that to something else as well if you want to mount it to a tripod or something like that. That's a really cool option as well. All of this comes in the dual screen combo. So you get a few accessories straight away, and they're extremely useful, and yeah, really cool. I love that that's available straight away with the combo. Another cool thing about this camera is it's got quite a large field of view. So it's 155 degrees. So a very large field of view, but I've found that when I've filmed most things, I will say that with the slow-mo, it does seem to warp it a little bit. You can play around in the settings and adjust that, but you know, even with the de-warping on, it still looks a little bit warped. But when I'm shooting 4K, 100 frames per second, it does an amazing job, and it looks like it's coming from a normal camera. And what I mean by that is a lot of action cameras do have a fisheye or a warped look to them. It's very clear it's coming from an action camera, but you can use this in a way where it just feels like a normal camera. And like I said, the video quality is great, the audio is great, and if it looks like it's coming from a high-end camera, that's a positive as well, and I really do love that. The other thing is that it comes with the latest RockSteady 2.0, which I've been very happy with, very stable. Had it on an RC car as it's bouncing around. It looks so stable, like smooth. It looks like it's gliding on the concrete. It really does look amazing. Have a look at the footage that's popping up now. Let me know, like, does it look like it's mounted to something that's bouncing around? it doesn't, does it? It just looks like it's gliding on ice. So that's beautiful. I love RockSteady 2.0. And then you also do have HorizonSteady, which means that even if the camera's on an angle, then it will still steady out the horizon and stabilize it so it looks like it's on a flat canvas. I love that as well. That works extremely well when you've got it around your neck, because if it's around your neck, it might be on a slight angle, which is common. It's quite obvious why it might be on an angle if your material's moving around. So I find that HorizonSteady works really well when it's around your neck. The Action 2 does have a ton of options, like I said at the beginning. It's got so many features and it really has everything that you would need for an action camera. 100% for an action camera, it has everything you would need. It's even got digital zoom. Don't know why you would need that, because it's 4 times digital zoom. It loses all clarity. Really not worth doing it. But I mean, maybe you've got something in the frame and you want to crop that out. So you can just zoom in straight away, just a tiny amount, just to cut that out of the frame. And that's probably the best scenario, I would imagine, to utilize digital zoom. It's not a mechanical zoom, nothing's moving in there, so it's all just digital. If you're shooting 4K, maybe you have a little bit of wiggle room because the quality's so nice, but that's an option as well if you didn't know. So as you can see, the main camera itself has no ports on it. Obviously, this is the waterproof component, so you can't plug it in, you can't put in like a micro SD or anything like that. You do have that option on the dual screen. You've got the micro SD down the bottom there, and you've got the USB-C on the side. But they've thought about that, and they've actually made this unit have a built-in storage of 24 gigabytes. So I mean, for me, I haven't even bothered putting in a micro SD. I'm just using the internal storage from the unit and then just connecting it, plugging it into the computer, and then taking the footage off. That works fine for me, and I've had no issues so far. The other thing that I've noticed a lot of people asking about is the delay on the screens. So as you're turning, what does that delay look like? Now, we had a ton of issues with the original Osmo Action. They did fix it with software updates, but it had a big delay. And that was the same with the GoPros as well. They had a delay with the front display. Some of the rear displays as well have had issues, but I find it's quite responsive. Yeah, there's still like a tiny delay with it, but it's pretty responsive, and overall I've had no major issues with like the responsiveness from the display. Like, yeah, there's a tiny trail, tiny delay, but it's not enough to put you off. I have noticed there have been a few questions about what the audio sounds like from just the camera unit when the bottom piece isn't attached, that dual screen, compared to what it sounds like when they're both attached to each other. This is now footage from the DJI Action 2 in a studio environment. I'm using the video and the audio from the Action 2 directly from it. I'm maybe a meter away from the camera unit. I've just got it propped up on a box. I've got 2 studio lights pointing at me. There's obviously a light in the background. From what I can see, it looks very nice. The colors pop, and it seems to be doing a very nice job in a studio setting. So for me, I wanted to test this because the way they've marketed this camera is it's more than action. So that would imply to me that it can be more than action. It can be a camera that you set up in a studio. It can be a vlogging setup. It can be all of these things that we want in a camera. So what do you think? Does it sound good in a studio environment like this when I'm about a meter away from the unit? I've got the camera pointed on me with 2 lights on me. From what I can see, it looks great, and hopefully the audio sounds great. So how does it sound now? I'm still talking at the same tempo, pitch, all that stuff. How does it sound now that we've got the combo attached? Is that affecting the audio, or does it sound the exact same? I'd imagine it would be the exact same, but let's see with this little test here. I do love having that front display. It's really nice to be able to see what you're recording, to be able to frame it up nicely, and it's a nice addition to be able to have that. I really do like that. Like I said earlier in the video, the unit does get hot. I haven't even been filming, as you know. I've been recording from this guy, and it's already getting hot just from filming for a few minutes, not even a few minutes yet. So that's a worry, but it does look great, and hopefully you can't tell too much of a difference, or if you can, maybe that will clear up the questions you've had as well. Hopefully I've cleared up everything you wanted to know about the Action 2. It is a really powerful camera, and even though it's got tons of issues so far, I really hope they can fix it and rectify those issues and make it a usable action camera that people want, because it's a cool design, it's a powerful camera system, and I just love that they're trying something different. You know, like tons of developers out there just do the same thing time and time again. This unit is something unique and something special. One final note is I was actually having issues with like recording videos and putting it on my computer. It just wasn't working that well. I did notice though, by default, it's not under like an efficient format, an efficient video format. So when I was playing it on the computer, it was jumping and stuttering and it just wasn't working. So if you do get one of these cameras, go into the settings and make sure it's under the compatibility setting. Like make sure it's high, I think they call it high efficiency or high compatibility, just to make sure that it will actually play back on your computer smoothly, because I had some issues with that as well. So anyway guys, that's the end of my full review of the DJI Action 2. I will have some more videos coming to the channel to revisit it. Hopefully there's some updates, hopefully things will be fixed, and I'll make sure to revisit that so you guys can check that out and hopefully clear up any other questions you've got about the unit. Like I said, I want to love it. It's got a ton of options. The video is great, the audio is great. So there are a few things I do love about the unit. Let's hope that they can fix some of those other issues and make it a really competitive action camera on the market, because I don't want DJI to go back and just do another action camera that looks the same as the GoPro. I just don't want that. They've done something bold and unique here. Yes, it's backfired a little bit, but I think if they can fix it up a little bit, we will have a very powerful modular camera system. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to have a fantastic day, and I'll chat to you in the next one. Peace.